Hello, I hope that we are live. I'm checking live here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where you are joining us from around this world. So, as persons get on board, I'm trying to check my platforms and see that I'm live. I'm live on LinkedIn, so that I went live on YouTube. Let me just check to see if I am actually live on Facebook. I think I am, but of course, I want you to let me know if you're hearing me and if you're seeing me, of course. I think I am live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn. I am trying to see if I am live on, yes, I am live on Facebook. So wonderful. So, again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where in the world you are joining me from. Good morning. I hope it's Chiman. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Good morning to everyone who and let me know where you're joining me from, what part of the world you are joining me from. Let me know again if you're hearing me and seeing me okay. Um, uh, Let me know what platform you're joining me on. If you're seeing me on LinkedIn, if you're seeing me on Facebook, or you're joining me on YouTube, right? This live has been a series of lives that I have been doing. Good evening. Wonderful. It has been a series of lives that I have been doing, all on personal branding, right? This is actually the third week of doing the lives, right? Hi, Linton. So glad that you're joining me here on LinkedIn, right? So, yes, as I was saying, the lives have been. This is the third live. It's all about personal branding. I have a workshop this Friday from 6 to 8 talking about how you're going to actually launch your personal brand on LinkedIn and on Facebook, right? Those two platforms have been really, really good morning again, Donna. How are you? Right, so I'm seeing a lot of persons on LinkedIn. I hope that I have some persons on Facebook as well. Um, launching my personal brand on LinkedIn and Facebook has been, fantastic for me. LinkedIn in particular, because it is a business platform, it is a networking platform. It really allows you to make those types of strategic connections. It is really, really, critical to persons who want to build their brand right now in 2023 and beyond. I can't speak in any more highly of that particular platform, this particular platform in LinkedIn, right? And so this live is going to focus on, really, as is said here, elevate your personal brand with these key areas of focus, right? Your personal brand is really your reputation, right? It's what persons see online about you, right? But it must be translated in terms of what they see online and what they see offline. There must be some synergy, there must be some connectivity. The person that you are portraying yourself to be online must be the same person that people meet offline. And developing a personal brand is not just a catchphrase now, right? It is the way in which we brand and market ourselves as persons and as people. And it really does begin to open doors and allow us to really not just develop ourselves and our careers, but it is actually an excellent personal development strategy or goal or tool to get you where you want to be, right? So as I have more persons here, I'm saying good morning. Good morning. Let me know where you are joining me from. I know I have a Jamaican here with Linton, but let me know where in the world you are joining me from. I'm happy to have, cross boundaries, cross geographical locations. It's always wonderful to really be able to connect with persons and really chat with them, right? So let me jump straight into my presentation, and I want to, let me bring it up a little bit bigger. Yeah. I want to go to the next slide of the very first slide and talk about great Jamaica, Canada, USA, Florida. Wonderful, right? The first slide I want to talk about, right? We're talking about elevating your personal brand and the areas that you need to focus on for you to be successful, right? There are lots of noise on the line, and in order for us to really stand out, we have to be clear in terms of who we are and what we are delivering, right? So one of the first things I tell individuals and entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter what space you're in, if you're HR consultant, if you're engineer, if you're a project manager, one of the first things you have to do is really kind of define your unique value proposition, right? In a way, I told some students last night actually that you need to actually define what makes you, what is your value and what essentially is your competitive advantage. What will help to distinguish you from everyone else? So there are tons of HR professionals, tons of marketers like myself, many sales professionals. And what are you how are you distinguishing yourself from everyone else? And you can distinguish yourself through the quality of the product or service that you are offering. You can distinguish yourself by the service you provide. You can distinguish yourself by, the innovation that your company is able to really deliver and to put out. But that has to actually be very clear to you in order for you to communicate that with your audience. So it's very important to, and that's one of the first things, as I say, get clarity on your particular vision, what your company is able to offer, how you can change your marketplace and your market space by the things that you do, and what allows you to really stand out as as an authority in your space, right? So that's one of the first things you have to really look at and really focus in on. The next thing here I have is developing or really discovering your niche. And this is it's such an interesting topic, right? I think in the Caribbean, we tend to go very broad. We tend to be people who can do a lot of things, right? And our employers expect that persons be able to do a lot of things, right? We always had that. For instance, when I worked in corporate, there was a sales and marketing role. And essentially, that sales and marketing manager was responsible for all aspects of sales, managing a sales team, developing strategy in terms of marketing, having some expertise and oversight on digital, right? Your website development and so on. And in many instances, is asked to mentor, to coach the people within the corporate space and the office. That is quite a lot, right? That is quite a lot for anybody and for any individual. And so it is important to, as we develop our personal brand, especially as entrepreneurs, and we begin to sort of say, okay, this is the space that I'm comfortable with, this is the particular skill set I have, this is how I could help particular clients, other entrepreneurs, or even businesses. It's important to really kind of zone in on your niche. Now, why is it important to zone in on your niche? One is because you want to actually create a space where you are an expert, right? A subject matter expert. And it's easier to do on that when you are kind of niching down, right? Not when you're so broad, right? And you're doing a lot of things. So one of the benefits of niching down is just getting that expertise, being able to upskill yourself in a specific area. So for instance, I talk about this a lot too. HR field is quite broad, but many persons or a HR consultant or HR manager can maybe zone in into a space of, let's say, employee engagement. So they specialize in really developing strategies that get employees more engaged, right? So niching down is important. It's also really impactful to help you in differentiation, because again, we're in a crowded market space. So people want to see and know the benefit that you can offer. And they might be looking for something very specific. So when you niche down, you are able to really differentiate yourself, be seen as a subject matter expert in a specific space. And that is very helpful in the third aspect, which is helping you to scale. It's easier to scale when you really develop your niche, right? So you go after particular customers, particular types of clients, you're offering a very specific service. And so niching is an important space and area to focus on. Again, as I mentioned, Caribbean persons, we tend to go very, very broad. But when we look at ourselves as global people, we have the opportunity to actually niche down, because now we have access to global clients and global businesses, etc. Right? So, saying hi again, persons mentioned from Canada and Florida, and then I saw Trinidad. I hope that's Daniel or Danielle. Thank you for joining me. And Dame Peters from the British Virgin Islands. So thank you so much for joining me. Anyone on Facebook, please let me know that you are here and that you are joining me. All right, so those are two, right? The first one, as I mentioned, areas of focus for your personal brand. One, defining that unique proposition, how you differentiate yourself. And then you look at developing your niche, right? So you're looking at your value, what you are able to deliver. And then you're looking at kind of niching down a bit, looking at specific markets, territories that you could provide a service to. Right, great. Guyana is here. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. Right. So my next slide is about being authentic, which sometimes people seem irritated by that. I don't want to say suggestion, but okay, I lost my slide. Let me bring it back up. Right. They seem a little annoyed. They find, to be authentic. What do you mean by authentic? I guess it's a phrase now, right? It's a phrase that we talk about. But authentic for me is loving what you do, and having that show through, right? Again, authentic is showing up as as yourself. There are lots of gurus online. There are lots of um, persons who can give you tips and advice, but at the end of the day, you have to show up as you, right? So authentic to me is showing up as your true self, online and offline, right? What you deliver online, you should be able to deliver offline. How people interact with you online is how they should have a similar type of experience offline as well, right? So loving what you do, even um, having a level of transparency within your organization in terms of the way in which you do things, right? Leaders need to show that they are they have an open door policy, that they are transparent in the way in which they conduct transactions. So it's the same thing on an entrepreneurial level. These are the things that are important to showcase your authentic self, right? Hiring with that in mind as well too. So as you begin to build your business and brand, you want to build a culture where people are also authentic, so that you have that culture within your organization, right? That's very important. And another thing I think is really impactful here is speaking to persons, just engaging with your audience, engaging with your clients, um, helps you to understand them better, right? Helps them to see you in a much more authentic space, and really, really allows you to build a relationship in a very a real way, right? A real way. So being authentic to me has many layers. It also means acknowledging the things you don't know, the things that you are not exactly capable of, being able to ask for help. So showing up online as your authentic self to me is super beneficial. It is super important. It allows you to have the longevity, because when you don't show up as your authentic self, it is a little difficult to kind of keep that facade up continuously, right? Persons are going to meet you offline. They're going to have experiences with your company and brand, and then there will be a misalignment, right? And this is why sometimes people can have some sort of crisis within their firm, right? So being authentic is part of the name of the game when you're talking about personal branding, right? And of course, feel free to ask me any questions here as well. Um, Christian, I think, asks, how can you provide ways to find niche for yourself? I think that starts with a little bit of self reflection. You need to understand what are the skills that you have accumulated in your life and in your career. You have to look at the things that you are good at. Um, and then too, it's not bad to be able to get a coach or a mentor that might help you to actually discover the things that make you unique and different. But that process of finding out your whole niche and where you need to go is actually almost a self-reflective exercise. You need to look at what you may have done in your career. You may need to look at where your passions lie. That really helps you to get a little bit of clarity on where you want to go and how you want to position yourself, right? So I hope that answers that question. Any other questions, of course, feel free to drop it in the comments and I will try my best to answer them, right? So those are the three areas of focus. I have five. I think, yes. And I will jump to number 4 now. Right. So 4, let me see if I could bring this up a little bit bigger. 4 is about creating a platform for amplifying your brand, right? Um, as part of building a personal brand online, you have to really understand what platforms work for you and what type of content works for you, right? Um, and that process itself at times makes people, persons have, a headache. I tend to tell people, to me, it's a low hanging fruit. One, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are all connected. And if you haven't got online as yet, that particular um, core group of platforms is actually one of the easiest ones to get on, and therefore begin to create content. They're integrated so that you could schedule content from one space to another, and you could really begin to build your personal brand there. On the flip side, for a lot of the service providers, I actually recommend LinkedIn, because if you're providing a service in marketing, sales, HR, project management, it is all about still building relationships like you would have traditionally, by visiting clients, and the whole idea of what you do in sales, right? So LinkedIn is also critical to me in building a personal brand. And so you don't have to get on all platforms. Persons feel you have to get on all platforms. I am on many platforms, but it was a very slow progression. It started off with actually Facebook and Instagram, then jumping on LinkedIn, managing those three for a while, and then adding some others after that, and being very strategic about it too, because I would say, like when I started planning, like how we're getting into September, so my sights are already on 2024, I would actually begin to say, okay, I've kind of mastered these platforms. I'm consistent here. What is the next platform that might provide some value? So I don't necessarily jump on a platform immediately as it's launched. I tend to sort of plan it out as part of a strategy to begin to build and grow my visibility, right? So again, some platforms work better than others, and you have to find your space. Trying to do too many will dilute you, and you wouldn't be able to have the impact that you want. So really, you have to think about your product. You have to think about the service that you offer, and then begin to do a little bit of research in terms of where you need to begin to position yourself to um, to really amplify your brand and really get the best out of your brand. And then you have to think after that, how am I managing the content that is going to come out to help me actually build my brand, right? Um, you build your content, and you build relationships through your content. So whether that is updates on your website, whether that is third party publications, whether that is video marketing on the social media platforms, you have to also begin to strategically think about, um, how am I going to manage this? Again, my suggestion is always batching content and scheduling content. I already have, today is the 30th of August, and I have content maybe scheduled for all around till the 15th of September, right? I try to get like a month's worth of content scheduled, so that again I can focus on my clients, and I can focus on engaging with persons on the platform. And I don't have to worry about the production of content, right? So that aspect is also important, because building your brand means that you are consistent, right? You are consistent online, right? So thank you guys for joining me, of course. And let me get to my last point. My last point, which is kind of reinforces some of what was said before. Building your personal brand, especially building your brand online, requires connecting with people consistently, which is through your content, right? Having your content out in a consistent way. So you need to plan your content. You need to have a little bit of a content calendar in terms of what you are going to be talking about with your audience online. And you have to show up in an authentic way, right? So that's really reinforced with point two and point three. So connecting with people, what does that mean? That has online and offline implications. For instance, you want to be able to network with persons. You can network with persons online, you can network with persons on offline, and you could build rapport and you could build relationships there, right? You need to also engage with persons online as well, right? Lots of entrepreneurs I know are busy, so they post content but they don't engage. And to me, they are almost equally important, if not engaging. I might give a little bit of, edge to, because it is through the engagement, which is chatting with persons online, replying to comments, replying to messages, and so on. That is where you build the rapport, and that's where you build the trust. So that's why I say I schedule out a lot of my content, and the emphasis for me is really going online and really engaging with persons. So it is important um, to put some emphasis there, show up in that sort of authentic way, because it really is impactful and helpful, right? Some other ways in which you can engage is through lives, right? And I know that some at times persons not really a big fan of that, right? It's not easy for many of us because we come online, we don't know who is online, we don't know how we will be received. But this is one of the best ways, again, to begin to engage persons, to see you, hear you, and understand whether you are a brand that they want to invest in. If you can help them solve particular problems and provide solutions to them, right? So connecting with people in a consistent and authentic way is one of the most important um, areas in terms of focusing and having a successful personal brand. And this is what the live was all about. How can you elevate your personal brand, right? So thank you so much again, Darwin. Thank you for letting me know that you joined me from Facebook. And Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. Any questions, of course, feel free to ask as I begin to wrap up here very quickly. I have a master your social media workshop this Friday, the 1st, from 6 to 8 ppm, where we are going to talk about a lot of what was talked about over the last 3 weeks through the lives, and which is how to use LinkedIn and Facebook to help you grow your personal brand. Hi, Pam. Um, so if this is something that you are interested in, feel free to message me to be a part of the workshop. Again, as I mentioned, LinkedIn and Facebook were one of the two of three platforms that I initially joined in the beginning. Um, LinkedIn has really been extremely beneficial to me for a number of reasons. Really enjoy that platform. There's an article about it now becoming cool in one of those major international publications, because they want to say that LinkedIn is serious, the older people and so on, but it's a platform that has been growing, and really the love and the juice and the energy really comes from the strategic connection. So if you're looking to build strategic connections, develop yourself in different market spaces, LinkedIn is definitely the platform for you, right? So I'm so glad that I see some famous faces, which I hope that I can travel soon and get to see you guys in person. So with that, you all have a great Wednesday. Have a safe rest of week, and I'll see you soon on another live. Right? Take care, guys. Bye bye.